So, good evening, everyone. Welcome to this session on mastering performance testing with JMeter, a comprehensive 5-week training blueprint. So, before going to dive into the technical stuff, what exactly the 5-week training plan and everything, I just want to take a quick analogy here. I just want to discuss about one quick analogy here. So let us say, imagine like you are planning a trip, right? So if at all, if you are planning a trip, obviously you are going to plan the destination, right? So whenever if some destination is going to be there on your mind, obviously you are going to hit the road and you are going to simply try to reach your destination, right? So without a proper GPS or without a proper Google Maps or anything, right? It is obviously tough for us nowadays to go and reach the destination without any sort of issues, right? So there are chances that roadblocks will be there and some traffic going to be there, right? So in order to avoid these things, obviously this Google Maps as well as GPS is going to help us, right? In the same way, if you want to learn the performance testing tool, right? Not only the JMeter, any performance testing tool. If you want to learn any performance testing tool, first sure, right? You need to know the roadmap of that, right? So once if you are able to know the roadmap of that, then only you can simply learn that particular tool easily, guys, right? Especially for performance testing, right? For learning performance testing, we need to know the proper roadmap. Okay, we need to know what exactly the initial things are must have concepts that we need to know before entering into this performance testing, right? So in order to make that clear, right? So I'm going to start with a comprehensive roadmap first, right? So once after discussing the comprehensive roadmap, in which I'm going to discuss about the must-have skills or must-have concepts that a performance tester should know, right? So once after discussing that on a high level, we'll jump into the 5-week plan, whatever that I designed. Okay. So with that, we'll close the session with any question and answers, right? So this is the on a high level, like this is the overall session plan for today. Okay. So let me jump into this part. Okay, 1 second. So let me jump into the comprehensive plan first. Okay, comprehensive roadmap. So this is the 1 second. Sorry, let me close this PPT. Okay. Yeah. So this is the comprehensive roadmap which I planned for this demo session kind of thing, right? So whenever if you are planning to jump into the performance testing, right? So first you need to understand the software development lifecycle process, right? So most of the people those who are planning to enter right now into the performance testing as a new learners or newbies, right? So for them, it is always mandatory to learn the software development lifecycle process first, right? So we need to understand the process and we need to know what are all the different stages in that, okay, and what are all the different SDLC methodologies like waterfall, agile, scrum, DevOps, right? So different SDLC methodologies we need to understand, right? And based on that only, we'll get some clarity like where our performance testing is going to fit in this SDLC process, right? So like in this particular session, I know most every one of you are already aware of what is performance testing and everything. But on a high level, right, as it is a roadmap for everyone, those who are starting their career in performance testing. So for them, it is always mandatory. Maybe you guys are also would have started from here, is what I'm assuming, right? So here the thing is, right, we need to understand the process of software development lifecycle, and also we need to understand where our performance testing is going to fit in this software development lifecycle process, right? Obviously, in the software development lifecycle process, under the testing stage only, our performance testing is going to fit. So that everyone knows here, right? So it's a basic concept that we need to understand first, right? So once after getting some knowledge on this software development lifecycle process, then we need to understand the next step, that is the software testing lifecycle process. We need to understand what exactly the software testing is, right? And how many types of software testings that are available, like functional testing, non-functional testing, regression testing, right? So these are the different types of testings that are available, right? So we need to know those particular concepts also. Once after understanding those concepts, then we need to understand the software testing life cycle process, and what are all the different stages that are there in that life cycle process, and what are all the different documents, okay, that we need to create as a part of the software testing life cycle process, right? And also what are the different types of testings, as I mentioned, like functional, non-functional, right? And in under functional, what are the different types of tests that we need to do? And under non-functional, what exactly the tests that we are going to conduct, right? So we already know that our performance testing is going to come under the non-functional testing process, right? Performance testing is a non-functional testing, guys, that we need to know, right? So this is the next thing that we need to learn, okay, or that we need to know as a part of the roadmap, right? So once after learning these two concepts, then like these two are the very basic concepts, right? So you can hardly spend 1 week on these parts. Like if you are a complete newbie for this performance testing, okay, you can spend hardly 1 week, not more than that, right? To learn all these things, basic things, right? Along with these two concepts, you also need to know how a browser is going to work, guys. That is very, very important for us, right? So how the browser will work, and how the developer tools will work, okay, and how a performance tester or a tester can use the developer tools, right? So the developer tools concept is very, very important one that you need to know, right? So once after covering these topics, right, then you need to have, or you need to grasp some server related information, as well as the application architecture related information, guys. You need to understand what the server is, right? And what is application architecture, what are the different layers or tiers that are available in the application architecture, right? And also we need to know about the topics called load balancers, right? What is caching? Okay. How the APIs are going to be used in middle, right? And what is middleware? These kind of key concepts also we need to have some basic idea, right? And once after knowing all these things, you need to understand one particular application architecture, guys. So for example, if you are interested to work on e-commerce application, then you need to understand what is the application architecture of an e-commerce application. So generally, right, almost all e-commerce applications are going to have the same kind of architecture, but here and there some changes will be there for sure, right? But we need to go through we need to take help of Google, and we need to go through multiple application architectures of an e-commerce application, and then only we'll come to know the proper architecture. And on a high level, we need to know what are all the different tiers or servers that we are going to use over there, right? So again, this is very, very key concept for us. Okay, as a performance tester, if you want to start your career, you need to know this architecture part for sure on a high level, right? Again, once after getting the concepts of application architecture, right, then we need to understand the performance testing concepts, guys. The basic performance testing concepts, like what is performance testing, why we need to do the performance testing, right? What are the different types of performance testings? Okay, so that we need to do, and what are the different metrics that we are going to look into, right? So client side metrics, server side metrics, right? And what are bottlenecks, right? And what are the different types of bottlenecks that we may come across, right? So on a high level, if you are able to know these basic concepts related to the performance testing, then that is good. Okay, so this is the pattern, okay, that you are going to learn. So if you learn in this way, right, obviously you will learn the concepts in a very easy way, guys. So without knowing what is software development life cycle and testing life cycle, if you directly start what is performance testing process and everything, then it's of no use. Okay, so my way of suggestion is going is to be like you need to follow this process, right? So once after learning the basic topics of performance testing, then we need to learn what are the different types of performance testing tools that are available in market, right? And again, you need to learn some tools, right? So most popular tools right now in market is JMeter, Load Runner, and NeoLoad. right? There are other tools also like K6, Gatling, right? But again, most of the market is occupied by these three tools, guys. So I hope like you guys are also okay with this, right? As you are already there in market, like you know this part. Can anyone please confirm here? Most of the companies are going to use these three tools. Yeah, Mohan. Right? Yeah. Most of the companies are using only JMeter loader, neo load, and Gatling also. Yes, Gatling also nowadays it is becoming popular. Yeah. But most of the companies are only JMeter loader. Loader especially, yeah. So those who are especially unable to maintain load runner, right, because of its high cost, right, then they are going for neo load. They are moving to commercial. Yeah. Yes, yes, yeah. Open source. So as we know, like JMeter is an open source tool that anyhow we are going to discuss it. But JMeter is an open source tool here. That is a free tool. Anyone can use it simply by downloading that. And LoadRunner and NeoLoad both are commercial tools. So we need to pay some amount for the license. So, yeah. Yeah. So we need to pay some amount for the license for sure. So in that LoadRunner license cost is a bit high when compared to NeoLoad. So that is the reason why those who are unable to maintain that cost, like keep that cost, then they are moving to NeoLoad. And out of all the three tools, right, I feel like personally NeoLoad is somewhat easy when compared to LoadRunner and JMeter. Working with NeoLoad is somewhat easy, right? The reason why I'm telling is like I worked on all the three tools, okay, and what I found is like NeoLoad is a combination of JMeter and LoadRunner. They have some sort of JMeter UI, okay, and they have the components of LoadRunner. They mixed both and created the NeoLoad tool. So I'm not saying that NeoLoad is perfect tool, but again, uh, every tool is having their pros and cons for sure. But when it comes to working, right? So working with NeoLoad is a bit simpler when compared to working with JMeter and LoadRunner is what I felt personally. Okay. But again, so every tool is having their own advantages as well as disadvantages for sure. Okay. So with this basic tool learning, right, we need to take one tool at a time is what I suggest generally to everyone, those who are starting their career or those who are working also. What I suggest is to go with one tool at a time. So just start with one tool. Okay. Practice, like understand the tool first and start recording the application with the help of the tool. Okay. Prepare the scripts. Okay. Do all the script enhancements, right? Do the correlation, parameterization, error handling, right? Whatever all the script enhancements that need to be done, just do that and try to start doing the test executions after preparing the workload modeling and everything, and try to generate the reports with the help of the tool and get some idea on that tool, right? Once if you are good with that tool, then only go for another tool. Why? Because if you parallelly start multiple tools at a time, then obviously you're not going to end up with proper knowledge. Okay, so I have seen many people, those who started working on multiple tools parallelly. Like some people, they took JMeter training on morning times and they started load runner time training on evening times, right? So again, uh, finally they are going to end up with no knowledge on their part, right? So they can't practice even one tool properly here. So that is a major drawback. So what I can suggest here is whenever if you are planning to learn any performance testing tool, just start with one tool at a time. Okay, plan accordingly. So as of now in market, like as JMeter is an open source tool, like it is having more advantage, right? And most of the companies, they are going for JMeter. So more openings are also there on JMeter right now. And later, like after JMeter, LoadRunner and NeoLoad are having more like calls again, right? So that is the reason why like I'll generally tell everyone to follow the pattern in this way. Like even to learn the tools also, first learn JMeter, LoadRunner, and then NeoLoad. But again, LoadRunner is very old tool when compared to other tools. But I can prefer JMeter to everyone to start with JMeter as it is a bit easy when compared to LoadRunner. Okay, so with this basic part, right, once after completing the learning of the tools, then we need to jump into the programming languages. Okay, So again, right, when it comes to the programming languages, don't get worried that like we need to learn we need to learn and we need to develop programs like developers, right? It's not that. So as a performance tester, you need to have some programming knowledge. That is fine, right? Anyhow, we have lot of options, right, nowadays in internet. So with the help of ChatGPT or any other AI tool, we can simply develop the code whatever that are required for us, right? So simply on a high level, if you know the basics of few programming languages, that is fine, right? If you want to work with JMeter, okay, you need to have some basic knowledge of Java. Okay, so that is required. Even if it is not there also, that is fine, no worries. Why? Because it's not mandatory again. Okay, but we need to understand a few concepts. Okay, with the help, we need to work on few concepts with the help of coding for sure. So that is the reason why we need to have basic idea of Java is preferable. When it comes to load runner, you need to have an idea on C programming, okay, or JavaScript, right? When it comes to JMeter, sorry, Neoload again, right? In Neoload also, we are going to use the JavaScript for coding purpose. Wherever you want to do some custom coding, then you'll use the JavaScript in Neoload, right? So having idea on these three languages, at least the basic idea is fine, right? So why? Because sometimes we need to customize our scripts, right? So by writing some custom codes, so at that time, these languages are going to be really helpful for us. Even though if it is not like this languages knowledge is not there also, fine, no worries for now. Okay, and once after having this basic knowledge of the languages, then we need to know some of the monitoring tools. Okay, at least one monitoring tool is mandatory for us, right? So whenever if you are running the test, you need to understand like how your application, like how your test is going on and how your application servers are, right? So how you can monitor those servers means with the help of any monitoring tool, right? So there are multiple monitoring tools that are available in market like Dynatrace, AppDynamics, New Relic, right? And again, Dynatrace is top among all the monitoring tools. Start next is AppDynamics and New Relic. Okay, is what I know for now. Okay, in most of the companies they are going to use Dynatrace and AppDynamics. Okay, again, these are also paid tools only for sure. Okay, there is no free tool available for monitoring purpose. So at least one tool idea is mandatory in order to crack any interview. That is important. If you know the basics of any specific monitoring tool, also that is enough. As a performance tester, whatever that you need to know, if you know that, that is more than enough to crack any kind of interview. So most of the people like they will fail in interviews because of these monitoring tools, as they don't know the monitoring tools, right? So obviously the expectation, they are not going to reach the expectation finally, right? And they're going to be rejected for sure, right? So once after learning the monitoring tools, then we need to understand the documentation related tools. Okay, documentation tools, like we need to know about Confluence pages, we need to know about Zira, how to open the tickets in Zira, right? And we need to know how to work with MS Word and Microsoft OneNote, right? So again, Excel, lot of documentation tools, whatever that we are going to use, we need to have some basic idea. Okay, so this roadmap is completely to those who are completely new to this particular performance testing. Okay, so once after completing that, we need to explore and we need to have some idea on this CI/CD integration, that is Jenkins integration, right? Especially we need to integrate our tool with Jenkins, right? We need to integrate our tools with Git, right? So these basic idea, like having integration of this CI/CD tools is also mandatory nowadays, like as everyone is moving to cloud, right? So, and finally, working on one particular real-time project is 100% mandatory, guys. Right? At least you need to practice, and if at all if you are not working right, if you don't have any application to practice, then at least up to scripting part you need to try, and you need to get a chance by like with the help of your friends or with the help of the people who are available in LinkedIn, right? So you just ask them to provide some sort of help in terms of the real world application. Okay. And you need to start working on the real world application, at least when it comes to the scripting part, right? So then only you can work happily without any issues, right? So this is on a high level, these are the different must have skills or must have concepts that you need to know, okay, as a part of this comprehensive roadmap to performance testing, right? Any doubts till now? Any questions or any doubts till now? Okay. Considering that as no, I'm proceeding to the next step. Okay. So our next step is our main concept, that is our performance, like mastering performance testing with JMeter, right? So what I planned here is a 5 week training program. Okay. So in this training program, like again, right? So this training program I'm planning only for those who already know performance testing, guys, like who are already working on any performance testing tool, right? Either they may work on load runner, or they may work on neo load, or they may work on JMeter also, that is fine, right? But this particular training program is meant for the only for those who are already working on performance testing. The reason is, see, I don't want to again cover from basics, which you guys already know that, right? So again, if I start covering from basics, right, you will be you will feel like, okay, these concepts are already I know, like why I need to attend the sessions, right? And again, you will lose interest. So that is the reason why, like, my primary aim is not to start the performance testing training with for this particular batch, especially with JMeter. Okay. Again, from the basic concepts, right? Considering that you guys are already aware of the basics, like software development lifecycle, testing lifecycle, and basic things, okay, which are related to the developer tools and everything. Okay, what I am planning here is a different way. Okay, so in the week one of this particular training session, I'm planning these concepts, guys. So the main goal of the first week is to establish foundational performance testing goals, like metrics, gathering metrics, okay, and expectations from all the stakeholders, right? So this particular training session I'm planning in such a way that we are going to have discussion, okay, like the kickoff meeting kind of thing with stakeholders. Right. Obviously, these members are going to be there, but for our training purpose, like I just mentioned all these names, but again, in our training, we are going to be the stakeholders, and we are going to be the product owners, and we'll do everything, right? So we are the QE leads and everything, right? So what we will do on day one here is we are going to discuss among the like about that particular application, okay, which came for the request called performance testing here, right? So let us say one application is there. We need to do the performance testing of that application, right? So for that particular application, how we are going to start doing the performance testing of that application, that we will discuss on day one, right? And I will provide you the KT of the application, okay, like which we are going to perform the performance testing part of that, and everything like we are going to discuss on a high level on day one, right? So once after discussing that on day one, on day two, we are going to discuss about the critical workflows, guys. That means what are all the major scenarios? Okay. That means in a high level, I can say identification of scenarios is going to be done, right? And the documentation of those scenarios is going to be done on second day, right? So first day, complete KT session and discussion on that, okay, regarding basic goals and everything. And second day, identification of workflows, okay, identification of scenarios of that particular application, and working on that part, okay. And third day, again, for each and every day, assignments are going to be there for sure, okay. So if at all, if you guys get some time, you need to work on that. So I know like most of you are working here, like for sure, I may not force you here to work on these parts. But again, whenever if you start learning, right, it's always mandatory, feel like it's always mandatory and start working on the assignments, then you will learn the concepts quickly, right? And on day three, right? we'll discuss as per your company's norms and everything, right? How we are going to provide the SLAs, how the client is going to give the SLAs, what are all the different KPIs that we are targeting, right? So those kind of things we are going to have some discussion, and we are going to define all those SLAs and details, and we are going to list those details, right? So once like these things, we are going to do it as a part of NFR gathering, right? On a high level, I can say NFR gathering, we are going to do it. Non-functional requirement gathering, we are going to do it in this particular day 3, right? So once after gathering the requirements, right, we are going to finalize which particular tool, right, by doing some POC, right? Obviously, in our case, we are going with the JMeter, right? How to prepare the POC document, right? And what are all the different types that we need to do, right? So those things we are going to discuss, and we are going to do one POC, okay, with the help of JMeter, and we'll prepare one document, okay, and also we'll try to prepare the test plan also on day 4, right? So again, these are all the things we are going to do it for the same application, whatever that we are discussing, that we already discussed on day 1. Okay, so it's going to be completely hands-on kind of thing, guys. So it's not like simply giving the basics and closing it there, right? And on day 5, we are going to finalize the test plan and confirm the scope of testing. Like we'll discuss and we'll finalize the test plan, okay, with all the details. We'll prepare one end-to-end test plan, and then we are going to use that test plan going forward. Okay. And on day 6, right, the project schedule. Generally, in software companies, these are the process that they are going to follow, right? So they are going to define the project schedule and team roles for performance testing activities. Right. Again, on day 6, we can work on multiple other discussions. Okay. So which are key for us, like preparing the traversal flow documents. Okay. So once the test plan is done, right, generally we will prepare the traversal flow document, which are going to be used by the performance testers to develop the scripts, right? So we'll discuss those concepts here on day 6, right? And also we'll try to again we'll try to discuss about a few other concepts like Git, okay, the usage of Git and everything on a high level, if time permits, on day 6, right? And on day 7, okay, here I mentioned it as review and adjust the plan based on the feedback, stakeholders' feedback, right? Again, we'll see all the documents, okay, we'll just do a review of all the documents, whatever that we have prepared, and we'll see if at all, if any adjustments are there, we are going to do that, right? And this session is going to be the completely interactive session. Okay, so wherein each and everyone, like they can give their inputs, and they can suggest whatever they feel like these changes are requirements, they can suggest those changes too. Okay, we'll finalize the documents on day 7. Right, on the first 1 week, right, we are going to try to understand the application, and we'll completely develop each and every document that are required here uh, going forward for us, right? So this is the complete first week goal for us. Okay, so once after completing the first week, right, once after entering the second week, the goal of the second week is to establish the test environment setup and monitoring tool setup, guys, and to develop the initial scripts, right? So as I mentioned, right, I'm not going to take any application like pet store or web tools application. So what we are going to do is we are going to have one application which we need to install on our local machines, right? So I already installed one application on my local machine. Okay, so in the same way, I will also ask you guys, I'll show the process and everything. I'll ask you guys also to install that application on your machine, right? Again, we are going to install it on a IIS server. Okay, so in our laptops also, we can enable that IIS server here, and we can install that application on that IIS server directly, right? So on day 8, right, we are going to do that process. Okay, on day 8, we are going to install our application as well as our application related database. Okay, ignore the APIs. We are not going to work on the APIs here, but how we need to install that application on our local, right? And that application related database, how we need to install it. And once after installing that application, we are going to simply configure that. And finally, we are going to open it on our browsers, okay, with the specific name, whatever that we have given to that application. And also, we are going to install monitoring tools, okay. As a part of this training session, I'm planning to go with the Dynatrace. Okay. So I'm going to tell you how we need to sign up for the Dynatrace and how we need to download the agent, right? So, and how we need to install that on our machine, right? And how we need to do the configurations and everything, right? So I'll try to cover these two concepts on day 8. And once that is done, right, again, on day 9 we'll onwards we are going to start our JMeter tool. So we are going to install our JMeter tool as well as the prerequisites for that, like the Java and JDK related softwares. And once after that, we are going to verify like everything is working fine on our machine or not, right? So with this, our test environment setup is going to be done. So we are going to do everything manually, like again, so it's not the cloud-based thing. On our laptop only, we are going to do this. And once that is done, we'll start developing the scripts. Okay. So again, here I'm mentioning it as developing the scripts means again, we'll start from scratch onwards. Like we'll introduce what exactly the different elements that are available in JMeter and how to use each and every element, right? So this particular elements introduction is not like introducing all the elements in one go, guys. Okay. So whenever if any specific element requirement usage is there, then we are going to use that. And at that time only, I'm going to give you clarity of how we can use that element. Okay, what is that element, how we need to use that, and what happens next with that particular element, right? So like that, we'll start recording the scripts, okay, on day 10. Okay, so the entire recording process, everything we are going to discuss in a step-by-step way. I'm going to provide some basic documents also for that, the recording steps and everything. You need to follow that and you need to start recording the flow, right? Once the recording is done, then we are going to start doing the script enhancements, right? So we are going to handle dynamic values, parameterization, right? Correlation, parameterization, these kind of things we are going to do it like on that complete week. Okay, on that complete week, we are going to do all these things, guys. Right. So from day 10 onwards, I can say like from day 10 onwards till day 14, okay, you can simply work on the script enhancements and everything. Right. We'll take like 3 or 4 scenarios which are key for us, and we will work on those scenarios. And the remaining scenarios, you can consider that as an assignment, and you can start working on those scenarios also as an assignment. Right. On Sunday, right, we can review all the scripts, whatever that you guys developed. And if you have any doubts, we'll discuss those things also. Okay, on Sunday, day 14, right? So once that is done, we'll jump into the third week, right? So in third week, our major concentration is advanced script development and initial tests, right? So till now, whatever the correlations that we have done is completely related to the that particular application only, right? So in real time, there are chances that most of you guys would have faced different dynamic values. Okay, and it is very tough for us to extract those dynamic values, right? So with the help of some advanced correlation concepts, we can do that. Okay, with the help of writing some advanced correlations, we can do that, right? So we'll try to implement those advanced correlation techniques. Okay, with the help of uh, like different with the help of one particular script which I already developed, right? So there I can show you different ways of doing the correlation, like whenever if you have left boundary only, right, and right boundary is not there, right, at that time how we need to correlate, right? Whenever if left boundary and right boundary is both are varying, like how we are going to correlate that, right? Whenever if you have some special characters, right, in the application, like in your dynamic value, then how we need to correlate that. So like that, whenever if complete boundaries are not there, right? At that time, how we need to correlate that. These kind of things we are going to discuss in that particular session, and which is going to be really helpful for you to crack any kind of interview, guys. Right? In the same way, we are going to discuss about the advanced parameterization techniques also, right? So with the help of CSV files, like again, CSV files, it is common, but we have random, there are some other CSV files concepts are there. And also in the CSV dataset config, we have multiple options, right? Those options related details also, we are going to discuss it. And one more important thing is bean shell concept, right? On day 17, we are going to discuss about the bean shell scripting part, and whatever the logic that is required, right? How we need to write the logic, those kind of details we'll discuss on day 17th, okay, which is related to bean shell scripting, right? I'm not going to cover JSR 223. I'll cover bean shell scripting only as a part of this training, right? So it's almost all same, okay? So you can, like, once if you get idea of how to work with bean shell scripting, right? It is so simple to work with JSR 223, okay, that you can learn on your own. Okay, so that is the reason why I'll cover only the bean shell scripting part here. And once that is done, right, I'll explain you the controllers concept, guys, which is again one of the very, very, very important topic. And most of the people are failing nowadays in their interviews as they are unable to answer or as they are unable to know to tell the answer with the help of the controllers, guys, especially. So there are a lot of controllers like loop controller, throughput controller, while controller, okay, and many other controllers are there. Like how to use those controllers with real-time use cases, I'm going to show you here. Right? I'll for each and every controller, I will tell you one scenario, and in that scenario, how you need to use that, I'm going to explain that. Okay. So that session is going to be again one more important session for us, right? So once after this, right, we are going to again refine the script by adding the edge cases and new workflows, if at all, if anything is required, right? And also error handling concepts, related things, right? All those things we'll do that and finalize the scripts for baseline testing, right? So once all the scripts are done, right, we are going to finalize our scripts, okay, and we are going to make our scripts ready for baseline testing, right? And finally, we are going to review. I just gave this particular day as the review for all the scripts, whatever that you guys are done, right? So, and we are going to gather some feedback on the scripts developed, right? So once that is done, we'll jump into the fourth week, right? In the fourth week of this training, right, I'm going to simply concentrate on the initial testing part by taking the baseline metrics, right? And also I'll discuss more on the distributed testing concept here, right? So first we are going to run our baseline test with the minimal user load, right? And we are going to capture the metrics here. And once after capturing the metrics, like again, what are all the metrics that we need to capture? Those things are also discussed in this particular day only, right? And once after capturing all those metrics, we are going to run the load test, right? Not with 500 or 1000 users. Yeah, we will plan somehow like 100 or 200. Okay, the same thing you can use it for understanding purpose, right? Why? Because I don't think like my laptop will handle that user load or not. So that is the reason why I'm planning to go with 100 or 200. Okay, if you are able, if your laptop is having some 64 GB RAM or so, you can try with 500 or 1000 users also. Why? Because on the same machine, my application is going to run, right? And that is the reason why I don't want to take any risk by going with by going and running the test with high user load here. Okay. So, and on day 24, right, we are going to run the stress test. Okay. And on day 25, we are going to run the spike test. Okay. We'll do the setup of spike test and we are going to run it. Right. And on day 26, we are going to conduct the endurance test again. So I'm going to trigger the test. I'm going to tell you how we can do the setup and everything. And we'll try to run the 4 hours test, but again, on like continuously 4 hours, we can't be online, right? So we'll discuss what exactly the endurance test is, the remain like the main concepts related to the endurance testing, and parallelly the test is going to run for 4 hours, right? And we are going to analyze that results next day, okay? And on 27th, we are going to review all the test results, right? And again, we are going to on 28th also we'll review the test results only, and we'll get the feedback finally, right? Once everything is good, we'll jump into the next day concept, right? Again, the load testing and everything as of now, like whatever that I discussed is not related to uh, distributed testing, guys, again, right? So with 100 users, I'm going to use only one machine, single machine, and I'll run the test, right? But on day 5, right, I'll go with the distributed testing concept, right? And on day 5, my major intention is to go with web services testing, right? So post sorry, REST API as well as SOAP API related like APIs, right? How we need to test those APIs, right? I'm going to discuss that on day 29. And again, how we are going to connect with the database with the help of JMeter, and how we can run the database related queries, testing, and everything. That I'll try to cover it on day 30, right? And on day 31, I'll go with InfluxDB Grafana integration with JMeter. Okay. And how we are going to run the test, okay, in non whenever if we are running the test in non-GI mode, right? How we are going to gather that information, the test information, and how we can monitor that information in the Grafana, right? And again, the distributed testing concept. Okay, so we are going to have the distributed testing concept with slave machine. I have one desktop on my mesh on my house, right? I'm going to simply use that desktop as my slave machine, right? I'll show you by connected to the VDI. Okay, so by connected to this remote desktop, right? I'll show you how the test execution is happening in the slave machine when I trigger the test from the master machine, right? I'll show you that process practically, right? And once after that, we'll again have a discussion on the different types of large scale tests and everything. And the analysis part, whatever that is required, we are going to do that analysis also. And again, if any issues that we are able to identify, okay, we'll try to identify with the help of the Dynatrace. Okay. At the time of test execution, obviously, we are going to monitor our test with the help of Dynatrace, right? So with that, like on the final day, we are going to prepare the report, which is going to be submitted to the client. Okay. So this is the 5-week program that I planned on a high level, guys. Okay. So this particular sessions are going to be completely practical sessions, right? And again, theory, wherever it is required, I'm going to cover that theory. But again, so I'm not going to cover it from very basic onwards. Why? Because most of the people already know basics, right? So that is the reason why I just don't want to stress on basics again, like it will be a waste of time is what I feel. Okay. So with this, my part is done here, right? So now the session is open for questions. Please feel free to ask your questions now. Uh, yes. Yeah. Right.
Then just wanted to know if this training is free or any cost
No,
to
no, it's paid. It's paid training. It's not for free.
how much it
Yeah, this particular training, like I'm planning to go with 10,000 as the fee amount for JMeter.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions from anyone? Please feel free to ask your questions, and please let me know your suggestions also. If at all, if any changes required here, we'll try to modify the plan accordingly. I hope like I have added all the required things, if I'm not wrong. But again, if you feel like if I'm missing something, you can let me know that. Any questions here, please? Yeah, that is
The
going to
analysis
be.
part of
Sorry?
analysis part of the report.
Yes, yes. Result analysis and report creation, right? Yes, yes. That is added. Yes.
What would be the timing for this?
Timing is not yet finalized. Okay, what I am planning is to go either in the morning time or evening time. Like evening time means it is going to be like 8:30 to 9:30 p.m. Okay, if it is morning time, I need to check whether it is possible for everyone to join from 7 to 8 or something like that. So I'm just planning with the timing yet.
I will not be able to join morning time. I will join, then I will join in evening time only.
Yeah, we'll
Because
discuss on that. Yeah,
morning time.
we'll discuss on that. Like we'll discuss about the timings and we'll finalize the timings.